guys, welcome to 4MR Ranch. So today I just wanted to do a real quick and short unboxing of the Vortex Venom red dot sight that I got in. I wanted a nice micro red dot sight for my AK that I recently received, and I just really was kind of torn between all the options out there, so I wanted to show you Vortex Venom and explain why I went with the Vortex Venom. So real quick, just showing you what the box came with. You get a nice little cover, the optic itself, a little two-sided screwdriver to do all the adjustments, as well as any other screws that come with it, a Picatinny rail mount, 3 screws, which is a nice touch should you lose one of the other top screws, especially when you first get it before it's Loctited in or what have you. That would be pretty frustrating, so good on Vortex to give you an extra for clumsy people like me, as well as an Allen key. And this spot used to have the battery, but let's be honest guys, I couldn't help myself. I wanted to test it out before filming this video. And of course a manual is included, and Vortex was nice enough to give you a nice little logoed microfiber cleaning cloth for the lens. Without any further ado, let me get into the reasons why I chose the Vortex Venom. So first of all, the price point. These are now on the market for about $200, and they have a lifetime warranty. Vortex really stands behind their products, and so I was more than confident in selecting Vortex. But the biggest reason is because for that price range, and I'm holding it at a white surface, there is little to no tint on this lens. Okay, so that's on a white background. So if there was a heavy blue tint, that would be noticeable. So this is crystal clear, and I'll kind of show you against some shadows. Crystal clear glass for the most part, for the money that you're spending, which is awesome. I'm not dogging on Trijicon, but we're gonna go ahead and compare to the RMR just because of the fact that they are kind of the industry leader in the micro red dot sights. That seems to be kind of the staple everyone goes off of. But those are around the $500 mark, $400 mark, depending on which model you go with. And if you look through that lens, it is nowhere near as clear as this Vortex glass. They have a heavy blue tint. So for me personally, I'm throwing this on my AK, which I have sitting over here. Gonna go on top of a nice little Midwest Industries mini Picatinny rail mount, perfect size for the Vortex Venom. Because I'm gonna be putting it on a rifle and it may go on a hog hunt or two, low light applications are gonna be a pretty big deal to me. So if I have extra tint that is not necessarily needed or essential for bright light, then I didn't want that, because I didn't want to block any of my vision, especially when the pigs are out at night, and sometimes I only have some moon and starlight to go off of. So again, the tint may work for you, but for me, I did not want a tinted lens, and it looks great, guys. It's very clear. The camera doesn't really do it justice. It doesn't focus well on the red dot, of course. And just to give you a few of the on the box advertised specs, in case you have not personally got to check one of these out in person, you may have not been able to look at the box. I'm gonna go ahead and test the parallax for you guys, because again, on a lot of red dots, parallax is an issue. And if you aren't super familiar with what that means that if the dot is on a target of some kind and you move your eye side to side, that dot should stay on the bullseye. Kind of like what EOTech really got famous for, is the fact that you could move your eye no matter where you saw that red dot in the window. Could be in the top left corner, bottom right corner. As long as it's on the intended target or bullseye, that's exactly where that round's gonna go, assuming that it's zeroed. Okay, so originally I was gonna have this pointed at something fairly small. However, as you can see on your end, I'm sure the cameras always have trouble focusing on these red dots, guys. So what I did, just so you can see, is I have it lined up with where the door over there meets that tan wall paint. And as you can see, as I move left and right, no matter what angle the camera is perceiving the dot is staying on that edge. And this is at like 10 feet, guys. So usually parallax is the most noticeable when you're up close, and it's looking pretty good. And again, this is at that $200 mark. So another cool feature of the Vortex Venom is actually an auto brightness feature. So as carefully as I can, I'm gonna try to keep the camera behind it. When pointed in a bright and lit direction, the dot is adjusting accordingly. But if we transition into a darker area, hopefully you can tell, it is actually dimming. So I know that may be hard to see. There it goes. Now hopefully you can see that the intensity definitely went down. But it is a pretty handy feature if you want to use it. For those of you that want the convenience of a variable red dot, it does also have that feature included. So just again, another reason that this is such an awesome red dot for the price. Okay, so the next huge positive to this optic choice is the fact that it has a top-loaded battery. So why is that essential? That means that anytime this sight does run out of batteries or run low and needs replacing, you can simply just remove the battery from the top without having to remove the optic from where you have it mounted. This is critical to not losing zero and more especially not having to deal with the extra burden of anytime you replace a battery to have to take it to the range and re-zero it just to give you that pinpoint accuracy. Now on something like a pistol, this may not be as big of a deal, something you can manually adjust the iron sights, but again, for my application on a rifle, definitely was a huge selling point to me. And now I will kind of dog on Trijicon, again, using the RMR as kind of that standard to compare other red dot sights to. They have a bottom mounted battery, meaning you must remove it from the weapon that it is on to replace the battery and potentially losing some zero. And for $500-ish mark, that's kind of ridiculous that their engineering department didn't catch that. And again, I love Trijicon, but got a dog on them. I mean, I even got my ACOG sitting over here from something else I was working on. But come on guys, be better than that. The adjustments are in 1 MOA increments, which means it'll be roughly 1 inch of movement at 100 yards or half an inch at 50 yards. The battery life of this optic is rated up to 30,000 hours on lower lighting settings. So for you everyday carry guys that are going to have it inside the waistband or concealed under clothes, if it's on the auto adjusting setting where it'll be stored at a lower setting, you're looking at quite a bit of battery life out of that. But 30,000 hours nonetheless is pretty substantial, and even if you get half of that with higher settings, that's pretty good. Mounting it is as simple as just placing the optic on top of the included Picatinny rail mount and inserting 2 of the 3 provided screws. And I always recommend just a drop of the blue Loctite anytime you're securing any kind of optics or something you really don't want to shift around or don't plan on taking off often. So now that it's on the Picatinny base that has been included, go ahead and slap it on the rail that you want it to go on. And always when you're mounting an optic, you want to push it forward to already be accounting for that recoil to where it's already in contact, so that when that rail jumps backwards with the recoil of the gun, the optic shouldn't go anywhere. And then you just tighten down the screw. If you're planning on leaving this on that one rail, I would also put a drop of Loctite on this. However, I may be taking this on and off, so I'm not quite sure yet if I'm going to put the Loctite. Alright guys, well hopefully I covered most of the basics with the Vortex Venom red dot sight. If there's anything else that I may have left out or you have questions on, leave them in the comments below. Also, I'm going to be doing plenty of shooting and testing on the range with this optic, so make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already so you don't miss out. And as always, have a good one guys.